In the half-light before dawn, Palestinians lie in the sand, shots ringing out. This said to be when more than 30 people were killed near an aid distribution site on Sunday. Families today still receiving bodies for burial. Exactly what happened has been highly contested, the Israeli military saying it hadn't shot at Palestinians at or near the site. But multiple witnesses say they were shot at while trying to reach the site, belonging to the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation.
The US and Israel, what do they tell us? Go and get your food and water and aid. When it arrives, they hit us. Is this fair? Those who go to get food from there, they die.
GHF has so far established 4 what it calls safe distribution sites inside Gaza. On Sunday morning, only one site, SDS-1, was due to open at 6 a.m. But from midnight already, thousands of people had gathered at a junction just over a kilometre away. Many, we're told, had travelled from the far north of the Strip. As more locals arrived, pressure to get to the front intensified. Witnesses tell us the crowd moved slowly southwards. A tank near the site fired warning shots, armed quadcopters first broadcasting verbal warnings, then shooting warning shots themselves. At around 3:30, we're told there was chaos. Crowds running back and forth, soldiers, tanks and naval boats all firing. This is when the first gunshot injuries are reported. An hour later, the crowd, now the biggest since the start of the GHF operations, surged for the aid site, and this was when the majority of killings happened. Even then, many still tried to reach the site, hundreds doing so around 5 a.m., stripping it bare, witnesses say, within minutes. It's an account that suggests the new aid mechanism is simply not up to dealing with such numbers, such need.
This is all we've walked away with. We were there, lying on the floor since 4 a.m, and the quadcopters were firing at us. The Israelis were firing at us. People were crouching on the floor, women and children. And in the end, all we left with is a can of fava beans.
The ICRC field hospital received nearly 180 injured, the majority with gunshot or shrapnel wounds. GHF today said reports of injuries, fatalities or incidents during its operations were egregious fabrications. And the Israeli military told us that the IDF did not fire at civilians while they were near or within the aid site. An official instead saying warning shots were fired when troops were advanced upon a kilometre away, giving no further comment when asked if civilians had been hit. Yesterday, Israel released this footage saying Hamas was preventing aid distribution. International journalists don't have access to Gaza, but our Palestinian colleagues there say these were armed gangsters selling looted aid in Khan Yunis. Meanwhile, Israel says it's expanding its ground offensive. Excavators destroying Gaza's only dialysis center in the far north. Staff at the nearby Indonesian hospital starting to evacuate for fear it too might be destroyed.
I love you, Trump. Good luck.
Today, Israel's foreign ministry released images of people returning to GHF sites, saying they spoke louder than Hamas propaganda and media lies. Perhaps instead, along with these images today from a Khan Yunis soup kitchen, they speak more to the sheer level of need in Gaza and the risks thousands are willing to take.
Well, earlier today, I spoke to Juliette Toomer, who's the Director of Communications for UNRWA, the UN agency for Palestinian refugees, which has been stopped from delivering aid in Gaza by Israel. And I began by asking her what we have learned from the killing of so many people trying to get food.
What happened yesterday was tragic. In fact, it's a heinous crime. And where we need to go back to is to allow organizations like UNRWA to do what it does best. That is mass deliveries of humanitarian supplies, opening the borders so that there's basic supplies going into Gaza.
Why do you think it's impossible for this new American-Israeli-backed organization to deliver the aid?
People have to walk for miles on end, starving people, hungry people, and only those who are able to actually make that horrific journey. So that excludes a lot of people in the community. Women, for example, injured people, children. There is a system. The system works. We've tried it out. despite all these claims against the system that are absolutely unfounded, let's go back to that system. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. We've said it so many times. Open the gates, lift the siege, bring the supplies to the people of Gaza. Let UNRWA and the rest of the UN do it.
The American ambassador here in Israel is claiming that the allegations of shootings are untrue and that this Gaza humanitarian organisation has delivered millions of meals to Gazans. I mean, we can't get in to check what the truth is. What are your people on the ground saying?
You guys should be there. Exactly where whatever happened yesterday happened, to find out how come 30 people were killed while they were just trying to get very little aid because they're starving. How come? This is your job. You gotta go in and find out. And the Israeli government must let you in to report independently. It's been 20 months.
We also saw a UN warehouse being, overtaken really by desperate people in the last few days. And some observers have said, well, why was there a warehouse full of food not being distributed? Are there any more like that in Gaza right now?
We said it so many times. The people of Gaza are starving. There's no question about that. We have to go back to the levels of the ceasefire. That's the very minimum. I'm speaking about 500, 600 trucks of supplies. Doesn't only include food, because the people of Gaza need more than food. They also need medical supplies, including medicine. They need hygiene supplies. They need fuel for the hospitals. It's a whole package, if you wish, of basic supplies that any human being anywhere in the world needs. It's beyond food. This is where we need to go back to. There needs to be a ceasefire. There needs to be a release of all the hostages in Gaza so they reunite with their families. It's time to go back to that.
And how much aid does the UN have waiting to go into Gaza right now?
At UNRWA, we have about 3,000 trucks in different parts of the region, including here in Jordan. They're full of food that's expiring and medicines that are running off. And so we got to get those supplies to the people who need it. And the people who need it are the women, the children, older people, ordinary men in Gaza. There is a need to open the gates, and the only way to do that is through political will. It happened in January for about 6 weeks. I don't see any reason why we can't go back to that. Otherwise, we are going to inch very, very close towards famine, and I don't think anyone in the world can afford that.